Hey guys!
I'm Tzula Propp.
And I'm DeGrand.
We're with the Instructional Technology Department of the College of Wooster, Ohio. And today we're going to be showing you how to create
logos
and banners and how to correct pictures using Photoshop and Bridge and Illustrator. We're going to start off with Illustrator and show you how you can use it to make really cool logos.
So Illustrator, we're most really familiar with Photoshop as a program that edits photos and things. But Illustrator does things a little differently.
Instead of using it in XY coordinates to determine which pixels are being selected or changed or have colors, what it does is it uses vectors, which if you've taken math, you know, is an angle and a line.
So basically you can draw shapes from these angles and lines, which are points and then lines connecting them, and you can make shapes and you can do all sorts of crazy cool things with them.
And the real benefit of it over Photoshop is, well, in Photoshop you can shrink things down as much as you want. In Illustrator, you can shrink things down and scale them up as much as you want.
Infinite.
Which is why it's way better for making posters than whatever program you're using now, such as PowerPoint.
Yeah. So while Photoshop edits already existing photos, Illustrator you can draw things literally out of midair.
So, to start off, we're going to start by making a new file, which is in the top left corner. You go to File, New. We're just going to make a 5" by 5", I think, right?
Yeah, for the logo we're making, that actually is kind of big, but you know, I like my logos big.
Okay.
So, so some things you want to know in Illustrator. So if you refer to your cheat sheets that you took from that center table over there, they have all of like the tools and effects and the hotkeys. And they're all really cool, but we're going to make a logo and start off with making a circle, and that's a good like background shape for this logo.
And we're going to color it in. Up in the top left, you have two boxes. The leftmost shows the inner color, and the right one holds the rim, or the outer color.
Yeah.
So
the rim is also called a stroke. So rim and stroke, same thing in Illustrator.
Notice how the green light appears when we're hitting the center, and it aligns to it.
Yeah, so that means the green light means it's in the center, or towards like one of the centers is a significant point. So we want to use the ellipse tool.
Oh no! It's making it a long circle. That's not really a circle.
It's making an ellipse. That's not a circle. How are we going to do that? We hold Shift.
But it's not centered.
It's not centered. So you want to do to make it in the center? You hold Alt.
And then what you're controlling is you're dragging from the center of the screen.
So the Alt key can resize shapes from the center of that shape, and the Shift key resizes it to perfect like square proportions.
And it's worth noting that you can always change the color of a shape after you've made it. Say I want this to not be red, but maybe more familiar orange. No problem.
Alright, so what else does this logo need? Not all logos are circles. There's probably only one company that has a logo as a circle. And like they took the circle logo, the only circle logo.
Which company is it?
I have no idea. We'll need to find it out.
King.
Burger King.
Or NASA.
Or NASA. Apple's like a circle with a bite taken out of it. But you know.
How do you come up with that again? I'm sorry. It's just like.
Oh, how do you get the circle?
Yeah.
So we go to this tool right here, which is the shape tool.
Oh.
It starts with rectangle. There's rounded rectangle, ellipse, which is what we're using as the circle tool, and the polygon tool. Also very useful. But what we're going to use for this next bit to make a triangle is actually the star tool.
Actually, the star tool.
Now,
I know what you're thinking. Stars do not equal triangles, and yes, we know this. But there's a little trick.
By double-clicking where you want your star to be centered, you can actually specify the number of points it has. And while a 5-starred star is a star, a 3-starred star
is a triangle.
Exactly.
So what we also need to do is make sure that one of the radii is twice as long as the other radius. So yeah, 0.069 and so we need, that's really good. That's a nice ratio, 0.3 to 0.6. So now we have our triangle, but look at these things. So you see the shape of this triangle, and it was coincidentally made in the same color as this circle. Do you want to change the color of this triangle?
Sure. Pick a number, a color, any color.
Pick a color. Anybody. Blue? All right.
Good color.
That's a good color.
Oh, I picked cyan.
Oh, you picked cyan? Oh, none of that. So you notice these little bumps on this triangle, and I know what you're thinking, guys. You're thinking, what the hell are these bumps? And so these points are anchor points. Saul, do you want to move one of the anchor points?
Yeah, sure. First I select it by clicking it, and then, when it's active, I can modify this. Suddenly, I've got some weird trapezoid of some sort.
Yeah, some kind of weird trapezoid thing.
I'm going to undo that with Control-Z.
So, okay.
Or Command-Z if you're on it.
I think we might want to tell these people what kind of tool we're using to drag these anchor points around. And it is the Direct Select tool.
Shortcut A.
Shortcut A. If you press A on your computer, Direct Select.
A little different from the black cursor, Shortcut V, that we're normally used to. With the selection tool activated, that's the black cursor. You can just move things around, resize them all you want. The Direct Selection tool selects the anchor points. And from there you can actually...
Individual anchor points, so you can make all sorts of like weird non-traditional shapes, new age shapes we'd like to call them, just individually and to make just like shapes and designs. But so we noticed that the Star tool has created these extraneous ones that we don't really need to pay attention to. But don't be afraid. There is a tool that we can use to get rid of these. So it's called the Pen Path tool, and it's something that you can also build shapes with. But for this application, we will want to use the Delete Anchor Point portion of the Pen Path tool, which is just the Pen Path icon, and also this like minus sign that shows up there.
There's many pen tools to use, and they can be used to add anchor points, delete anchor points. We'll show you the Convert Anchor Point tool in a bit. It's very cool. You can turn an anchor point into a curve or some other shape.
Yeah. Oh man, Convert Anchor Point tool. It's like
very solid.
I feel that anchor point tool.
So next, I'm going to rotate this right side up.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
How do in my Illustrator it's just star like rectangle tool. There's no star tool.
Really?
Well, you can look at.
There's no star tool? Okay, you can go ahead.
Let me take it.
What I'm going to be doing, while Henry helps her out, is I'm going to resize this triangle.
So if you click it and hold down the rectangle.
To do that, I go to the regular selection tool, and you notice that you have this box that appears around it.
And then just click on the screen. And
by holding Shift, I maintain the proportions as it grows. You can see that it's growing proportionally. And if I hold Option, it'll keep it centered. And in this way, I can line it up exactly where I want it, just so it perfectly intersects with the outside of the circle.
Yeah.
Oops.
Alright. So wait, are you sure, how do we want to get that third point down to the edge of that circle? Do you want to just drag that thing down there?
Oh, yeah, sure. I can use it with the Direct Select tool.
Yeah. So yeah, a difference between the moving points with the Direct Select tool versus moving points with the General Selection tool is that if you resize a shape with the General Selection tool, it will like increase the proportion of the shape. But with the Direct Selection tool, it will only move the anchor points.
Alright, so I want to create a Christmas tree. Don't ask why. Our logo needs a Christmas tree.
It's the logo for the tree club.
Anyway, so to get to a new artboard, which is pretty much this box right here, I'm going to press Shift-O for the Artboards tool. From there, I just drag it to the side.
Yeah, drag it to the side. We don't really need that right now.
And we can line it up at the top, like so, and drag down until it also lines up with the bottom.
Ah, that's good enough.
Oh no, I can't see the bottom of the screen. Oh no.
Oh
yeah, I have to do it over there.
Okay.
Oh no.
This is a bit of a problem right here.
Oh, escape, fix it.
Escape, fix it.
When in doubt, escape.
When in doubt, press the escape key. The escape key is your escape as much as it is mine.
So another handy feature is that sure you can click something and move it around all you want, but you can also hold Option, and you notice that my cursor turns double when I hover over an object. I'm still holding Option, but it turns double here. That's because I can copy and drag all in one beautiful keystroke.
Okay, what I'm noticing right here is that whenever you drag the shape, I only see the two paths here. You might want to use the Pen Path tool click over an anchor and complete the paths, because I think that might be a little detrimental to our cause in the long run. So just go to the pen tool, and then click that one and see the slash there. That means you can just select it and then click onto this one right here. And then now we have the complete triangle again. Yeah, so we're good now. So in order to create this Christmas tree, you might want to rotate this upwards.
By holding shift, I only rotate it by 45-degree increments, which is pretty handy. That way you don't end up with 181 degrees and your Christmas tree is just tilted a little that way.
Just tilt a little slightly. That's just a diseased Christmas tree. We don't want that.
I'm also going to make it green, because that's the color Christmas trees normally are.
Normally.
And I'll shrink it down a little bit.
Shrink it, yeah, just shrink it down.
Using the Option Drag tool, I'm going to create 2 more triangles. And then, because
that just looks like 3 triangles. This is actually an optical illusion. All of these triangles are like the same size, but it doesn't look like a tree.
I'm using the Nudge tool, which is just the arrow keys, once I've selected the anchor points, to drag out these little anchor points.
So yeah, make sure that you always count the number of times that you nudge these anchor points to either direction, because, I mean, you want to have the same nudges on each side, and that's kind of self-explanatory. But yeah, so just do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're good. You have a nice little Christmas tree.
But these guys don't look quite aligned to the center. I think I might have messed it up. So,
good news. You can actually automatically align things to the center. So there's this menu called the Pathfinder menu that you will find on the right side of your screen. If you don't find it, click the Window menu, and then if you go down enough, you will find the Pathfinder menu.
Or the Arrange menu.
Or the Arrange menu. That also works too.
I'm sorry, Align menu.
The Align menu. Our collective bad on that department. So, when you find the Align menu, what you should do is align to the center if you want all of them to be aligned.
And it didn't change it much, but it changed it to make it so the centers are aligned.
You should go and move that one of the triangles out of line so we can like demonstrate to them fully what the Align tool does.
That's definitely out of line, right?
Yeah,
this triangle is out of line.
This Christmas tree is not a Christmas tree, but but now it is.
And then I think we can even
vertical align center. We can also do things if you want to make each triangle have an even space between it. There's also a slew of distribute tools which can fit our needs if we want to do that. But it's a Christmas tree. We're not trying to distribute the shapes. We're trying to align them.
So the next step is to create a base for the Christmas tree.
Yeah, every Christmas tree needs a base.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the center, and I'm going to switch to brown first, probably. Doesn't make sense for it to have a green stump.
No. None of the Christmas tree stumps are ever green.
And by holding Option, I create a square, or a centered square. If I let go of Option, you can see it's dragging to the bottom right, or to the bottom left, and that's kind of tough to judge whether or not you're drawing in the right place. But this way, and by holding Shift, it creates a square-centered proportional square. Finally, we can group all these objects by pressing Apple G, or Command G. Oh, that's Command F. Oops.
Actually, what we should do probably, oh damn. What we should do before that probably is unite all of these triangles so they are the same shape.
Oh yeah, that's a step above grouping even.
Yeah, that's a step above grouping. So what we're going to do is group these shapes so they make just one object that we can drag anywhere we want. But before this, there are several shapes that we want to just combine. And what we want to do is just select the 3 triangles, because if we did it to the tree stump, it would become the same color.
Ah, right.
So this is the Pathfinder tool. So if you have a series of shapes, and some or all of them are overlapping, these will tell you, just give you different sets of rules on how those shapes are to interact with each other. So the tool we just used right here is Unite. So it unites these 3 triangles into one uber triangle.
Now let's say we don't want this Christmas tree to be pointed on top. I just want to round off that top, for whatever reason. What we can do, we'll do this instead of the gears, by the way.
Yeah, okay, that's a
We're
good
running low on time, so
Yeah.
why not?
So what we want to do is we want to use the convert anchor point tool, and it is this little thing like this, and
It's underneath the pen tool.
underneath the pen tool, but the hotkey is Shift C.
For convert?
Yeah, for convert. Exactly. So we want to click one of the anchor points and then drag it.
We do the switch out, and I'll explain what's happening.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is we're taking a single anchor point and converting it to a path. What we have as a path right now is sort of this line right here. You can see it's a path between 2 points. What we can do now is we can make it curved. No longer is it a straight line between 2 anchor points, but whatever you want. And these handles affect the curvature of the shape, whether you want it even or just a more narrow curve, maybe a more slight. Just to give your Christmas tree a little more natural appearance. And there you go. Now, to drag this back into the artboard from the other shape.
First, we might probably want to group it though.
Oh yes. So grouping is a little less extreme than merging into a single shape. What happens is you just make it so that when you select one of the items in the group, all of them are selected. And you can affect them all together. But it does not merge them as it does with when you unite the shapes.
So one thing to know also is that if you use the direct select tool, you will select each individual shape in the group. But if you use the general select tool, then you will select the entire group. So let's just quickly move this over to the other artboard.
If it's too hard to see them all on one screen, our resolution's a bit thrown off. You can just Control-C, Control-V to paste it in there.
Yeah.
And it should preserve your layers.
So let's shrink this down.
Holding Shift to maintain the ratio. Alright.
And then so we should probably group these things then. And then so we can align both of these groups to the center.
Pathfinder tool's right there. So, say you want to add a final touch to this logo. Say, a beautiful cityscape surrounding the image.
Yeah.
Illustrator can do that.
Illustrator can do that.
What you want to do is you want to use your brush tool combined with your symbol browser. So, if you go to symbols.
Symbols, alright. Or how about the brush tool?
Okay. The paintbrush will just draw a path for you. But you don't just have to draw a path of lines or of dots. You can use any of the symbols in Illustrator. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to decorative and then elegant curl and floral brush set. Because for some reason the city icon is there.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite brush set ever.
It really is fantastic. Though, why they put it in elegant curls and
That is just one of the many mysteries of Illustrator. We will definitely have to write the Adobe administrators on that one.
So you can see he's drawing a path and it creates it in the background, just like that.
Okay.
Oh no, you haven't filled in the interior shape.
Let's see, we should probably select the path. The interesting thing about brushes is that they register as shapes or shape-like objects. They register as paths, which you can make shapes out of, but they have no fill to them. The color of whatever you're brushing is always in the stroke. So let's make this a darker shade of gray, and then we can adjust points on the path using the direct select tool.
And using the convert anchor point tool, we can even turn it into a circle surrounding our logo.
Yeah. So if we use the convert anchor point tool, all of these paths are already curved for us. We just need to further adjust the handles. Let's get rid of these windows and move it down here and here. And let's just move this one up. And oh, we're already getting it. So
very nice. Now, say you want to take this logo that we've designed and put it in Photoshop so you can add it to a banner.
Yeah.
Well, very easy to do. Illustrator and Photoshop kind of work hand in hand. They're very cross-compatible too.
Partly because they're both made by the same company.
And released in the same creative suite.
Yeah.
But to export to Photoshop, you simply go to File, Save As.
Yeah, this is an unsaved object. We need to actually like make it real.
Desktop, and we can just save it as a Photoshop document. Oh wait, I'm sorry.
Maybe save it as an
You
Illustrator.
export it as a
Yeah.
Photoshop document.
Export.
The difference between exporting and saving an image is subtle, and sometimes it can be a little messy which one you want to do.
A little confusing, but if you export the image, it will create a copy. But if you save the image, it will basically save over, like, save in one format. If you export it, it will create copies in a different format. So you don't have to deal with the whole, oh, this is matching the same title that you last saved as. Do you want to overwrite it? You don't have to deal with any of that when you export.
And you always want to save with the highest possible resolution.
The highest possible resolution.
Oh, if you're joining us late, please sign our guest book.
Please sign our guest book. We have free food, granola, and apples and bananas. Please take some. But yeah, resolutions, you will want to keep them high.
You really will.
Definitely.
Now notice, when we open this demologos.psd, it automatically opens with Photoshop.
Because it's .psd. .psd means .photoshop document. So first, Photoshop needs to take some time to load.
Now, as we previously discussed, Photoshop works very differently from Illustrator. Instead of using vectors, it goes on a pixel-by-pixel basis, which makes it a very, very powerful tool for photo editing, but it's not upscalable infinitely, like Illustrator is. Is this visible? Oh no!
Uh-oh.
Not the spinning wheel of death. Unfortunately, I am using a Mac.
Yeah, the deadly beach ball, so we like to call it.
Perfect. It does fit.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. Another handy tip: Control-0 will fit your screen to whatever it is you're trying to use. And now, one handy aspect of saving this as a Photoshop document, I don't know if you notice, but we don't have a background right now. If I turn off this layer, we just have the blank screen behind us. That's Photoshop's way of saying there's no layers here.
Do you think you might want to drag layer 2 into layer 1 so that the entire logo acts as one object?
Sure. Why
there
not? We can.
There you have it.
The layers capabilities in Photoshop are very, very powerful.
Yeah, the secondary unit of Photoshop is layers. Layers with Illustrator can get kind of crazy once you like keep adding shapes.
So, the next thing we want to do is increase the canvas size. Otherwise, our logo would take up the entirety of our banner.
Yeah.
To do this,
Let's see, we could increase the percent because sometimes you might not know the actual dimensions of what you're editing, but if you want it to be, say, 5 times the width of your original product, then you might want to go ahead and use percents. So
we go to canvas size. Ah, okay.
Percent.
So scared for a second, I didn't see it.
Okay.
By making it 500, we're increasing the width by 500, but we're not adjusting the height at all. And by getting rid of relative, we keep that scale. Otherwise, it would have blown it all up to make it a giant square, as opposed
Really
to a large
huge.
rectangle like we want.
Yeah, large rectangles, yes. Giant squares, no.
And now you can see, we have a
Yeah.
really, really long thing.
Yeah, no,
if I
that's-
press Apple 0, I zoom out all the way.
Oh, that is wide.
Oh, and this is a really complex, like, multitude of layers. So it's slowing down my computer a fair bit to try to drag it around.
Sometimes that'll happen. As Photoshop and Illustrator users, we will have to accept that.
You're limited by what you're using.
You really are. You really are.
All right, so next thing we want to do is, all good banners have photos. Let's add some photos to this.
Yeah.
I happen to have conveniently a folder full of various club photos from whatever club it is I'm making this banner for. Let's see. Let's drag in these guys. as you can see, it's letting me place each one of them. And then I press enter to go to the next one. Now I know what you're worrying. Oh no, we've covered up our logo.
Yeah, we can't see it.
Don't worry, it's a layer. So we can just drag it to the top layer, and all of a sudden, there
Boom.
it is.
There it
It's
is.
covering up our butterfly, but
Oh, wow.
it was a really washed out picture anyway. So, I don't know if you guys noticed, but these pictures are actually not that great. This one's actually pretty great, but this one has an odd orange color to it.
Yeah,
That one's pretty good too. This one, you can't see at all what's in the barn.
Yeah, we need to see what's in the barn on that elephant.
And if I turn off this layer, this is a really, really washed out butterfly. So, I'm going to go in and I'm going to try to fix these guys up. Now, to do this, I'm going to delete all these ones that I just brought in oh so carefully.
Oh no.
I'm going to close this just so I don't overheat the computer.
We don't want to overheat the computer, especially during this workshop.
Definitely not.
That's just bad practice.
Alright, so I don't know if I mentioned this, but Photoshop's very different from Illustrator in how it makes composite pictures. It works on a channel by channel basis, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I drag this into Photoshop, it opens up, and I can go to Window, Histogram, and this will show the color balance in the picture.
So these things are basically like concentrations of each different color that are represented in the photo. So you can adjust the amounts that each color within the photo, aka the amount of yellows, the amount of blues, the amount of cyans, the amount of purples, and I could go on.
Yeah, so if you want to see each channel individually, you go to this channels layer. And how these channels interact is what actually creates the picture. This is the blue channel. This really just shows you how blue stuff is. Green, red, we can select two of them, and then you get a very weird color. But when you select all three, you get the beautiful color. You add in all the blue.
This is actually because humans can see in red, green, and blue because those are the dominant cells in our eyes. Dogs only have cells that receive green and blue. So if you want to deselect the red,
Oh yeah, that's what a dog would see.
that's how a dog would
I've
see.
never thought of that.
I know. That's weird. It's also like there are some kinds of butterflies that have 5 kinds of cone cells. So you can see red, blue, yellow, and cyan.
Anyway, so
Really
as you can see up here,
sidetrack.
we have the display of luminosity. And this shows how many highlights, midtones, and shadows we have in the picture. The shadows are the darker regions, so there's not really a clear cutoff. But these are the shadows, these are roughly the highlights, and these are the midtones.
A lot of midtones.
That's good. You really want a picture with a lot of stuff in the middle.
Yeah, the ideal picture has this kind of like bell curve of midtones, highlights, a very even distribution.
But as you may notice, there's the spike in the highlights, and that's how we're getting this washed out effect right here.
Yeah.
So there's many different ways to fix this, but they're not all equal. By far the most popular are these 3 right here: auto tone, auto contrast, and auto color. I'm going to start with auto contrast. So let me select my layer. It's right there. Actually, I'm going to duplicate it a couple times, just so you can see the difference. So I go to Image, Auto Contrast. Would you like to do this while I explain how it works and stuff?
I'll do the honors.
Okay. Now, Auto Contrast. It takes the darkest pixel in the composite image, so not in each channel, but an entire image, and makes that black. Takes the lightest pixel, makes it white, and then on a composite basis, it shifts the entire image accordingly. So you can see.
So let's do
Auto contrast.
Yeah, it is not entirely noticeable in the image, but if you look at the graph, like this thing right here, I'll undo it, and then I'll do auto contrast again. Now watch that little graph in the corner. You see it move? That was auto contrast.
The thing is, auto contrast is useful, but it's a little too careful. It tries to preserve the original color by making it so each channel is evaluated compositely. This way it doesn't actually add a tint to your color. The next one we're going to use is auto tone. This one evaluates each channel separately, takes the same lightest pixel, makes it white, darkest pixel makes it black, but the result is you can add a color to it. Where'd that purple come from?
Whoa!
It's just a byproduct of doing it.
And just mental note, auto-tone is not to be confused with auto-tune. Two different things.
But it did actually darken up our picture nicely.
Yeah, it darkened it up.
But
real good.
this butterfly is not naturally purple. That's a little weird.
Nah.
The third tool we're going to use, auto color, takes the darkest pixel in each channel, makes it black. The lightest pixel makes it white, but also gets the midtones. The previous ones only stretch out. This one will actually. Oh, you want to undo that first?
Oh, I want to. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Apple
Let's see. You had unselected this one, and then you selected.
So
this
select
one.
that layer, the bottom one.
Yeah.
And then do it.
Okay.
Image, auto color. And that does a pretty nice job too. It's shifting the midtones around. If you press Apple Z to toggle back and forth,
Yeah.
you can see that
Wow.
the midtones
It
are shifting.
drastically lowered the midtones.
As opposed to the last one, which only stretched them out over the center of the image. The
That highlight
best,
spike is still looking pretty big.
yes. Now, the best tool for this, though, is really actually new to CS6. If you have CS5 and you're working on this, I'm sorry, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
What we're going to be using, is, oh no,
Uh-oh.
it won't let me step backwards. Okay, there we go. What we're going to be using is adjustments, brightness, contrast. Now, this is fantastic.
I thought you could do that on other versions, but
Yes, but it's not good.
oh,
This use legacy tool just alters between the older version of brightness contrast, which does a lot of clipping. So, for example, if I press auto, it lags for a little bit, but it will actually show me a preview of what's happening once the spinning wheel of death stops. What this is doing, it's doing something very similar to auto contrast, where it evaluates the composite image, but it does so in a way that affects the midtones as well. So you get the best of both worlds.
yeah. Note the different look of the histogram.
I think it's just glitching out because it's overlaying the two, it's giving us a preview of it.
Okay, that's what I was. Yeah.
Don't worry too much. However, if I check Use Legacy, you'll see why no one likes it. It creates all these areas of intense white here. Now, sort of. It does a lot more clipping. It's bad at separating small details. Without Use Legacy, it does a much better job. And then once you've auto to get to like roughly the right area, you can go in and drag around your sliders if Photoshop doesn't crash. Just to make it a little darker, maybe a little higher contrast. It's a pretty good image of a butterfly.
I'll say.
Now, this was all pretty complicated to do, I'm not gonna lie. Doing this in Photoshop is not ideal actually. There is a better way.
There's a better way.
And that better way
Is
Bridge.
bridge.
Alright, so the shortcut to get to Bridge is Command-Option-O. Or,
Command Option.
oh my god, I don't have enough fingers for this.
Note to self: with Photoshop, you will probably need more fingers.
You can see Bridge is in fact opening.
Yeah. Sometimes you can do it with just 5.
So, what is Bridge, you might ask? Well,
it's weird.
it's a little weird, but it's not that weird. It's sort of like a combination of the image editing capabilities of Photoshop mixed with a finder. Like you go through and you look through your photos on your desktop. It is a file browser.
It's more of like, yeah, an advanced photo browsing tool with some of Photoshop's basic features.
So if I go to washed out butterfly, or here, maybe a better example is the elephant.
Yeah, we haven't seen the elephant yet.
Double clicking it will open it in Photoshop. And I can do whatever, you know, adjustments, brightness, contrast, auto. Should do a pretty good job. You can see the histogram has this large spike at the right, large spike at the left. It's not a great picture. But if I go to Bridge and I right click it and I click Open in Camera Raw, this is where the real power of Bridge is.
It's the magic of Bridge.
Camera Raw is this fantastic tool that allows you to edit images within, oh gosh, the problems of using a projector.
Yeah, the problem.
Alright, this could be disastrous. No? Only mildly. Okay.
Only mildly. Only mildly. The mildly
Okay.
disastrous problems of using a projector.
This pretty much gives you all the controls right at your fingertips. And if you press auto, immediately it goes to pretty much the right ballpark. And you can increase the contrast, maybe more, no, less exposure.
Yeah, you can pretty much turn the sliders, the knobs, press the buttons, all using Bridge, which is faster and easier. It doesn't have some of the more advanced capabilities that Photoshop has, but all of the basic things, such as image correction, that you might need just basically, but not without the extra baggage that
You can
Photoshop
notice
carries.
I can even make it have a ridiculous color tint in here, just by increasing the saturation, which is the extent to which each color is displayed. The vibrance, usually the crystalliness of the picture too.
Yeah.
But I think this did a pretty good job with auto. I'm gonna leave it. I think these are ready. And they're ready to go into update. Open recent, demo logo. We're going to unlock this layer. We are going to drag it into this file. Oh, oops. There we go. Haha. There's our elephant. We can go in, we can drag in the rest of these. If I had the time, I would go through and correct each one of them, but we are running a little short on time.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty sad. A little bit, right? Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just
You
a
know,
little
time. You know, as we say in the Photoshop community, time flies when you're having Photoshop.
Oh, that was cringeworthy.
So, something we might want to do here is all these pictures are just like right next to each other. There's just like boom, elephant.
Oh,
boom,
actually,
lady
before we
with
do that,
eyeshadow, boom.
I want to show them something really cool about hues.
You should
All right.
show them really.
Well, we're going to show you how to do that Henry's talking about, how to blend all these pictures together, make it look like them on a uniform textured background. But before that, I feel like I was cheating you guys if I didn't show you a little bit more of what Photoshop is actually doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that is what it means by hue.
The hue.
It's not a name. We're not talking about some guy named Hugh.
We're not talking about Hugh, who he's a cool dude. But no, we're talking about the cool tool called Hue.
Not really, no. We're just talking about, it's the extent to which it's a color. You have this color wheel right here, and every color in Photoshop, in addition to being on a channel, after the channels are combined, the result is a color with a combination of hue, which is pretty much its degree along this color wheel, and vibrance, which is how bright it is, or to what extent it's out on the color wheel. Now what we can do is if we select this and go to hue saturation, prepare to have your minds blown, by the way.
Why? Watch what happens.
Oh no, can I not make this any smaller?
I have
Yeah.
input. Okay.
Alright, keep your eyes on this. Would you believe that Photoshop is capable of making things rotate?
See, okay, the color wheel is moving.
And the spray paint cans are moving from one to the other. That's because what hue is doing, when you adjust the hue,
It
is
takes the color and cycles it throughout the entire color spectrum.
very cool. So anytime you want to adjust a color or something, and if you happen to remember from math, 90 degrees, that is about yellow. Cool. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's very easy to make colors of any color you want using this knowledge. Just adjust the hue and vibrance.
Alright, now back to the banner. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to find some way to blur and fade these photos into each other so it kind of looks like one continuous image. Now, how we're going to do that is this little tool I like to call the mask tool. Now, we want to put on a layer mask to, let's just do like one of these.
Let's do two adjacent ones.
Yeah,
Maybe
two adjacent ones. How about the
elephant?
Or how about, the dude and like the seascape?
Okay.
Actually, do you want to switch these because they're similar colors, like the blue?
Oh,
the,
yeah, sure.
yeah. It just makes our job easier.
Though we do love a challenge.
Yeah, we do love a challenge, but for your sake, we're gonna make this easy, and for our sake too.
And for all of our sakes, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lengthen all these images a little bit, just to make it so they overlap ever so slightly. The result will be that the beauty of magnetic chargers.
I know.
Magnets, how do they work? Is that we are actually able to use a blend mode. I can nudge this guy over, and now he doesn't now he does overlap a little bit. There we go.
So
Perfect.
you should probably get more of a degree of overlap between the seascape and the dude.
Okay.
Just because it's good practice.
Yeah, and the elephant photo's far enough over that we can do so with no problem.
Yeah.
So let's zoom in on this area right here. A good way to zoom in?
Command plus.
I'll nudge this guy up a little bit just to make sure he's centered with the top.
Alright. So what we want to do is we want to click this button at the bottom that says Add Layer Mask. So it's going to give us this little icon right here, and it's a layer mask thumbnail. So the layer mask overlays this invisible white palette over the layer, and we can adjust various attributes of this layer through coloring on this palette. So we are using, what tool are we using?
I'm just using the brush to say, hi.
Yeah, so
Just so you can see that I actually am drawing in it.
yeah, so we are using this brush tool. We're writing hi. We can draw on this photo. So,
But it's not drawing on the photo. What we're actually doing is adjusting the opacity of the photo.
yeah, we're
And here.
adjusting the opacity of the photo so we can draw different variations of this opacity into the photo.
So you can see, as I move this around, it actually is changing what's behind it. What the color high looks like. Now the guy's in the high.
Yeah, yeah. Now the guy's in the high. But we might want to do. That's not like good banner practice. If we just like write little random colloquial phrases into our banner pictures.
It really isn't.
Hi, or Henry was here, or HD for
I made this.
I made this.
Though you really are welcome to.
You really are
welcome to thank Instructional Technology for helping you make your banner for your website.
Yeah.
If you feel inclined.
Definitely. But yeah, so what we would want to do
Is we're going to add that layer mask
add the layer
to the
mask
photogenic male.
to the photogenic male, and then we should add a gradient to the layer mask, so we can like fade in the opacity, and we can have this kind of like blending effect to the picture.
Look at that.
Whoa!
It's like the waves are going into his hair.
Making his
that.
hair extremely wavy.
Look at that. It seems like his shoulder's just popping over. You don't even have to do it just in this way either. Like, you can make it so it's as complicated as you want. And you can even draw on it if you want to maybe,
You should, for something as precise as this, you're still seeing this line here. So you should go into the brush tool and then adjust one of the aspects of the brush, the opacity or the strength of the brush, so it brushes away some of the mask, but not all of it. So we can like engineer our own kind of gradient. Because this mask extends through the entire image, and we're just focusing on one kind of section of it.
Also, it's possible that we're using the normal, and that's affecting it as well. Or we're using dissolve instead of normal.
Yeah. So something else that is really cool in Photoshop are these little things called blend modes. So blend modes, if you have overlapping images on one or more layers, it will change the rules of how these pixels interact with each
You
other.
can think of it as the analog for the Pathfinder tool in Illustrator.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself, Saul. So what we can do is the overlapping area we can change to various like rules. Like we have luminosity here. Let's go to one. Divide is always weird.
Divide is really weird.
Yeah,
It kind of makes weird patterns. We might use it if we have time to add a very cool kind of patternsy effect over the entire image. If we have time.
Yeah, the divide layers. If you want to make very psychedelic photos, the divide tool will definitely get the job done.
What I think I like is almost the overlay.
Overlay is a good. My favorites are overlay, multiply, and screen. I think.
Screen would probably be best here, huh?
Oh,
yeah,
screen's
I like screen.
Yeah, screen's good.
Not to mention, it adds a nice wispiness to
It has
like.
a wispy. Yeah.
Continue. I'm just going to clone that real quick and add it to the rest of the sky.
Yeah. So that's kind of all I have about blend modes. But what Saul's doing right now is another really cool tool of Photoshop. Actually, probably my favorite tool of Photoshop. It's called the clone stamp tool. And the clone stamp tool will allow you to take one part of a picture, and you will copy that within the radius of the brush you're using, of just your tool. So it's like, say you have like a circle with like a 5 pixel radius. it will basically take a cutout of that, and wherever else you apply the brush, you will apply. Oh my god!
That is crazy.
We are artists.
That is the magic of the clone stamp tool. Yeah, so it will sample pixels from wherever he clicked the source point, so this eye probably, and you will then be able to reapply those pixels wherever you apply the tool.
Now, there's another way to blur the distinction between these two images. I'm gonna leave the guy with the third eye right now. I didn't plan that, but sometimes you gotta go with the moment. And that is, not surprisingly, the blur tool.
The blur tool.
The blur
as we
tool.
like to call it. So, but I think the blur tool will work if you have two pictures in the same layer, and then you can blur them together, or else it will just blur details of that same layer.
So to do that, we're going to merge layers.
Yeah.
I right-click after selecting two layers, going to merge, and then just create a larger brush size. Is this big enough?
Probably,
Well,
probably,
even bigger maybe.
Yeah, we have a big banner.
This is a really large.
Yeah.
I guess this is 25 inches
This is
horizontally.
25 inches.
That is very
This
large.
is for like a TV that's like this big. But you know what? As instructional technology, we like our banners big.
Big banners.
Big banners is big success.
We'll have that on our shirts next year.
Yeah, that's going to be next year's slogan, guys. It's a preview. If you all want shirts, you can hit us up.
So what we're doing here is we're blurring it in a way that lightens it up.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know, I thought it's kind of mismatched.
You can also change the blend mode of the blurring tool, and you have a more of a limited kind of set. If you are to, if you just move it like horizontally, you might get a better response.
Oh, yeah. I forgot it works like a brush.
The blur tool works like a brush, and it just kind of, what it's doing is kind of equalizing pixel values, so you get less of a definition between two dissimilar groups of colors. Okay, so we have the strength at 100%. Just want to check because sometimes it isn't.
And I'm going to merge these two layers. I think it's the really darkness and the really brightness of this image that makes it harder to see. Perhaps here it'll be more apparent what's happening. That when I do this, the wall gets a little bit of the pinkness from her, and she gets a little bit of the yellowness from the wall. And the grayness between becomes thinner and thinner and more blurry as we do it. Alright. What else do we got to talk about?
What else do we have?
Oh, I guess we'll probably add some text to this.
Yeah,
what club did we say this was? The Urban Tree Club, right?
The Urban Tree Club.
The Urban Tree Club.
The Urban Tree Club. And what's our slogan? I think it should be all day, every day.
All day, every day.
The
All right.
Tree Club.
The Urban. Oh, the type is way too small.
Yeah, we should.
And it's red.
We should augment that type and then blacken it out.
And we're gonna use Helvetica because Helvetica is the best.
Okay, there's a general rule of typography, guys. In case you guys are making banners or logos,
Use Helvetica.
If Helvetica doesn't work, use something else.
If Helvetica doesn't work, get a new club.
Yeah, if Helvetica doesn't work, get a new club. Because that Helvetica is actually the simplicity and actual just aesthetic of the Helvetica font fits most of your typography needs already. Probably about 90%. The font you absolutely should not use is Impact Font. You know those new...
You mean Comic Sans.
Comic Sans also. There's a great website, comicsansproject.tumblr.com. Go to it. It's a group of people who redesign logos, and they use the Comic Sans font. Comic Sans Star Wars, Comic Sans Burger King, Comic Sans Xbox. It's all there. I'm
merging these groups just to make them easier to work with. It was bugging out my computer when I tried to make it larger.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add sort of almost like an artificial drop shadow. You can also just add a drop shadow, but I like this way too.
Yeah, the way that Saul is doing this kind of drop shadow, there is one way. The default way of making drop shadows is you go into layer and then choose style, and it will generate a kind of black blob behind the object you're drop shadowing, and it will look like a shadow. But this isn't really perfect, because it's something that's dependent on the layer, and you can't really adjust the attributes that finely. But what Saul's doing is he is making a copy of the layer. He is then turning it to all black, and then he's going to adjust the opacity. You might want to make that a little smaller because that doesn't really look like a drop
doesn't really do it justice. Okay, I got a little carried away there.
Yeah.
We do like things big in IT.
Yeah. There's another rule of IT. Don't get carried away with the drop shadows. Sometimes it's too easy, and then you're just like drop shadow, drop shadow, drop shadow, drop shadow, drop shadow,
You really
drop shadow,
can get carried away very, very easily.
Yeah.
But that looks pretty dramatic. I would think so.
So another music Photoshop parallel. While we have auto tunes and auto tones, we have shadow drops and bass drops.
We have bass relief.
We also that's boss. That's boss relief.
It's bass relief.
It's boss.
Boss isn't a word.
Um,
Bass in the face.
Dude, it's a. Never mind. No, boss is a word. We have a boss. His name is John.
That's very true. All right. Before we export this, I'm gonna add quickly a frame. I'm gonna
Add a frame.
merge all these layers. Actually, I'm not even gonna select them. I've got a different way of doing it.
You should take the logo and move it towards the center, because what are we doing if the logo isn't in the center?
Very true. Also, you can select a layer just by holding Command and clicking on it, and then holding Shift to select the selected one on the screen. You don't actually have to do it elsewhere. Do we want to cover up the photogenic black? No, I'll cover up this guy. She's a weird peacock person. All right, let's merge all these layers first. And I'm not even going to select them all. I'm just saying merge visible.
Merge visible.
Alternatively, flatten layer, or flatten image will work. Then, I'm going to go to the shape. Oh no, it's on the shapes tool. Wait, the shapes tool? Oh, it's all the way at the bottom.
Yeah, this is how little Photoshop cares about shapes. In Illustrator, the shape tool is towards the top. Like, shapes are essential in Illustrator, not that essential in Photoshop.
It wasn't always like this though. Back in my day when we were using CS3.
Oh my god,
very
CS3, it's just like, whoop! But like, yeah, no. Photoshop also does Illustrator-esque vector capabilities.
That's what was owned by Macromedia too, not even Adobe.
Oh my god. Wow. Macromedia used to own like Photoshop things?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
I know,
I'm learning new things every day.
The history.
The history of Photoshop is going to be History 203, taught and TA'd by Saul and I. Take it, get your HSS credits.
If we were qualified to teach that, we aren't. I can't even think of something. But look how pretty this border is. It really is nice. This feels like a banner I would put on my website.
I would put that on my website.
Which is tzulapropp.com if any of you guys want to visit it. It is a real website.
Let's see, mine is antichrist.tumblr.com. I don't have a henrydegrand.com yet, but I will.
So, just export this as a PDF. Oh, actually, I think we just press Save As.
Save As. If you want to save it as a Photoshop document or a PDF. PDFs are actually really good because PDFs, there's one rule of thumb for PDFs. PDFs are ubiquitous.
Any professor will accept them.
Any professor will accept PDFs.
Any employer will accept them. Anything can be PDFs.
Like, resumes look so much more classy if you give it to them in PDF form. Like, I actually send my professors all my papers in PDF form. Just making it rain PDFs over here.
Oh, okay. I think I can barely click Save.
But you
without raising the dock.
I think you can do it. I think you do it fast. Do it fast.
Woo.
Yeah.
Alright, there's the status bar. This is new to CS6 as well. While we wait for this to save, it actually lets you keep working while you're saving your document, which is fantastic.
Ooh,
that's very new.
That increases workflow.
Synergy.
Synergy, workflow, sustainability.
Oh, actually, I just closed Bridge. Let's look at it in Bridge. Why not?
Let's look at it in Bridge, yeah. Let's
Demo
see,
files.
Let's see, okay. This has so many colors and contrasts.
Oh,
let's see what the Bridge auto contrast function will make this banner look like. Oh, and where did you save it?
Where saved it?
You can always save it again in a location that you know where it is.
Okay.
If you lose sight of your file. That's the rule number 3 of IT.
Oh, no, it's right there. Okay. Cool.
Oh, okay, we're good. We're in the money.
If I double clicked it, it would open it with
Adobe Acrobat Pro. What was the numbers after it? Adobe Acrobat 10.
No, if I double clicked it, I think it would open it with Photoshop still.
Really? I think it would, because it's a PDF, I think it would open with Adobe Acrobat Pro
And
10.1.5.
Camera Raw will not actually work with this. Camera Raw
Really?
only works on JPEGs.
Well, let's save it as a JPEG then.
We could save it as a JPEG.
Let's save it as a JPEG.
We're minus 5 minutes in, but you guys don't mind real quick. Here is our beautiful logo. We want to save it as a JPEG, say, because we want to host it on some sort of website. Very easy way to do that from within Bridge. What you do, tools.
Tools.
Ironically, Photoshop. Image processor. It opens up Photoshop, but it doesn't actually open up your file in Photoshop. It's just opening up a Photoshop tool.
Yeah, it's a weird little meta Photoshop.
Unless Photoshop freezes. That is liable to happen.
Oh.
Here we go.
We beat the beach ball of death once again.
And then you just press save as JPEG. Oh, well.
Oh,
Okay, no, we can do it. Okay.
Let's hope we did the right thing. Oh, we did.
Alright, cool. It opened it briefly, and it was able to do it. Saved it in JPEG. Demologo.jpg. This will open in Photoshop as a JPEG. Or in Camera Raw.
Let's open it in Camera Raw and see what the Camera Raw tools can do with it.
This is editing everything as a whole. Oh god.
Uh-oh.
Again. Not again.
Uh-oh. I think we got it?
We got it.
Yeah, we got this.
Auto.
Auto.
Do some crazy stuff. Increase saturation.
Boom.
Decrease vibrance.
Yeah.
Decrease clarity.
Yeah.
No clarity.
Oh.
I don't know. You can just mess around as much as you want.
fantastic
Camera Raw is
logo
really,
right there.
really dynamic. Anytime you're not sure what direction you want to take a photo in, and really just want to mess around with the colors or the vibrance, the hues, maybe even add a color cast.
Is the thing to do. Oh, color cast.
A color cast is a fancy word for a tint. So I think that about concludes it. Are there any questions?
Yeah, are there any questions, guys? We covered a lot of things.
I can't believe we got through it all.
I can't believe we got through it all too. That was oh man. Yeah.
No?
No?
All right.
We did a great job. That's what I'm hearing from y'all.
Good job.